Welcome guys, Dan McCrite here. This is the channel Mac Jackal. Thanks for joining me. Today we're in the camper trailer that I built last year, and I want to talk about how we stay cool on these really hot summer days and nights. We've had temperatures in the upper 90s, pushing 100 degrees for many days now, many weeks, so that's why I wanted to talk about how I designed this to deal with that type of stuff. So first of all, as you can probably tell, we've got a ton of windows. We've actually got 8 windows in this thing.
As you can see in this trailer, we have 5 14 by 21 inch windows above the counter in the kitchen area. And then on this side, we've got 3 larger 20 by 30 inch windows, letting in a ton of light into our couch.
And the back door opens up and we have a screen. And what that does is gives us a ton of airflow, as you can imagine. And if you're interested in these particular windows, I'll put a link in the description so you can see them yourself. And I also made a video just about them, how we installed them and all that. So check that out for sure. So yeah, first of all, lots of windows which let in a lot of airflow. Maybe this is something you can implement into your design. Obviously you've got to factor in if you're going to do a lot of winter camping. You know, there's a give and take here always, but that's our first thing is we got all these windows so we can get everything opened up and get a lot of airflow. So another thing that really helps us out on these hot days and nights is we've installed 2 fans into the ceiling of this thing. These are Max Air fans. I'll put them in a link in the description as well. Been very happy with them so far. And they've got a rain guard on them, so even when it's raining or lightly misting, we can keep these things running without worrying about water coming into the trailer, which sometimes you've got to close some windows down, but these things can keep rocking. Now, the cool thing about these is they can be switched to both push or pull the air. So what we do is we put one of them pushing air out and one pulling air in, and you basically get kind of a cycle of air, like a little wind tunnel going on in here, and that'll give you a nice breeze on a really still day. Because as you know, if there's no wind, it's hard to get airflow even with all these windows. But these solve that by pushing and pulling the air around and getting a lot of air going. Another really cool thing is at night when it starts to cool down a little bit, we'll actually turn these on and have it push the air out of the trailer, and it will pull air in from these lower windows right across us while we're sleeping. I say us, my wife Jackie and I. So while we're sleeping, that cool air is coming in from lower and coming across us and then up and pushing the warm air out the top of the trailer. So that's a really cool trick that we use all the time. The next way we stay cool in here is the fact that this is a white trailer. We bought it that way for a reason. If you've ever walked into a black enclosed cargo trailer in the middle of summer, you know what I'm talking about. The sun sits there and heats the thing up and it just gets unbearable, where of course white reflects heat, and that actually gives us a huge advantage. Maybe you don't like the aesthetics of a white trailer, but for us to be able to reflect the heat, it's worth it to us. We love it. An additional thing that's actually helping us, which isn't something that I necessarily planned for, is our solar panels on the roof. They're black, but I've got a 5-inch gap between the solar panels and the top of the trailer. You're supposed to do that in general just so there's airflow under the solar panels so they don't overheat. But what that also does is it gives us a little bit of shade on the actual roof of the trailer, and that helps keep things cool too. It's like a little buffer zone. So that's another thing that helped us out. And of course, one of the best ways to help this thing stay cool is we've insulated the whole thing. I've got R10 pink foam insulation in all the walls and the ceiling of this thing. And of course that helps you in the winter, but in the summer it also helps so the heat doesn't come straight through this thing. It's actually got insulation value. Another way to help keep things cool is also the orientation where you park your vehicle, your trailer. And right now we've got it facing where the nose of the trailer is actually facing south. And in the nose we've got our bathroom, so that gives us a little buffer between where the sun is really hitting the trailer. And it keeps our back door, right now the sun's kind of up high, so there's sunshine coming down. But if we spun this thing around, I'd actually have sunshine coming into the trailer more. And so that helps us a lot. One more way that we could keep things cooler in here is actually park it in the shade. Of course, we're using solar power, so we really don't want to do that very often because obviously we need the sun to hit the solar panels to be able to have power. But if we needed to for during the daytime for a little while, we could always park it under a tree, get some shade going, and that would keep things cool too. Of course, whatever you're building, if you're not using solar, then you could always keep it in the shade, and that would help you a lot. One more thing that we don't have going on, which I'm going to add at some point, is curtains. If we had curtains, we could help keep the sun completely out of the trailer when it's coming from one side or the other. Like I say, right now this thing is going south to north, so as the sun rises in the east, it comes through these windows, and then when it's setting in the west, it's coming through these windows. So we could reorient the trailer, but curtains would definitely help us keep some of that heat out of the trailer as well. So that's most of the design side of this. You could also have an awning, which can help cool things down a little bit. We've got a refrigerator in here with a freezer, so we've got cool beverages. You can have ice packs and things like that. That can help just physically cool us down. And on top of that, it's just all the normal stuff that you would do to stay cool in the summer. And then one other bonus tip that I've figured out, I'm a really warm sleeper anyway, and so on a hot, humid night I suffer even with all these tricks. We recently bought this cooling blanket, and actually this thing works pretty good. When you lay on it, it feels cool to the touch. It's not like laying on an ice pack or anything, it's not gonna like change your life, but it really has helped me sleep on those warm nights. So I'll put a link in the description there too. You know, I'll link everything that I talk about in this video. I'm an Amazon Associates partner, so if you buy something, of course I get a kickback. I just want to be straightforward with you there. But these are the things that we use that work for us. So when you go to build your camper or your van or whatever you're building, think about that. Think about putting fans in it. Think about how many windows you want to use. How are you going to get airflow into your space? You know, you don't need 8 windows like we have, but you need a way to get air to get pushed and pulled. One cool thing I've heard about, which we didn't do here, is I've heard of people putting fans actually in the floor, and they can pull air up from underneath the vehicle, which is obviously much cooler, it's in the shade, and then they push the air through the fan on the top of the roof. So you're pulling cool air in, pushing warm air out, and you're also getting a draft. So that's something to think about too. With the way you're building things, can you have something in the floor to pull air up through and then out the roof? Of course, the other thing you could do is you could have an air conditioner. If you've got the ability to plug into shore power and you can get the power that you need to run an AC, go for it. We're off grid. We don't have that kind of power. We've got 400 watts of solar panels and 250 amp hour of batteries. So an air conditioner would sap that really quickly. So that's why we use our fans, which don't use a lot of power. We've got our windows, we've got airflow, we've got a white trailer, we've got all our little tips and tricks. And that keeps us cool. Just a few simple choices when designing your little home can make all the difference. Us humans have been living in the heat for 1,000,000 years. We know how to deal with it. That's why we sweat. That's why we can take clothes off and make it work. If you're getting any value out of this, I'd love it if you hit subscribe, hit the like button, let us know what you think, and ask me questions in the comments if you got any questions about the trailer, or tell me what you're trying to do. Are you trying to build something? What's your plans? What are you thinking about? One thing that we thought about a lot when we were going to build this is, what are we going to camp in? Is it going to be hot? Is it going to be cold? When you go to plan your small, tiny home, camper, van, bus, whatever, sailboat, just be thinking about how are you going to use this thing? Where are you going to be? Are you going to spend a lot of time in Florida, Arizona, up in the mountains in Colorado, up in northern Minnesota? Because obviously these things are going to dictate how you're going to build this thing out. If you're going to do a lot of winter camping because you're a hunter out west, you probably don't want a white trailer with 8 windows. You probably want to do something else and plan for winter or late fall type of weather. But this is what we did because we knew that we would be dealing with a lot of warm weather, because summertime is our favorite time. So we seek out summer. As we lose summer, we often chase it. So we wanted to build the trailer to be able to deal with that. And when it's cold, we'll deal with that and just suffer a little bit. We've got the wood burning stove. We can always insulate things a little bit more and cover up all these windows. So that's something to really think about. If you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe. If you don't, that's okay, but thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys watching. See you in the next video.